What's up, you guys? Cruiser67 here. So in today's video, I want to talk about decks that any player that people can use in today's format to combat the meta. Cause like I feel as though like this format we see a lot of. I mean, this format is dominated by Dragon Rulers, Spellbooks, and Evil Swarms, and a lot of people like aren't playing this format because they think it's too broken. I mean, just to give an anecdote, I messaged Asian Eyes White Dragon. He's an awesome YouTuber. If you guys haven't checked him out yet, I'll post a link of his channel in the description. I messaged him about joining the DNYCS, and he was literally like, thanks for the message, but I really don't like this format because it's too much of a first turn either stun or plus bajillion, or you lose. And he's right in a sense. That's why a lot of people are either quitting Yu-Gi-Oh! This format because they say it's too broken, like you can't win this unless you play competitively, and the competitive decks are way too expensive. And I completely agree about that. The competitive decks are very expensive. And that's why I'm making this video. There are decks out there. Like, you don't have to get rid of your deck and get a new one just to be able to play competitively. There's cards that you can add, that's why people side deck, obviously, but there are decks that you can build to combat the meta. So I just want to so today's video I'm going to talk about a couple of decks that I find are really good this format against the current meta. So the first deck I want to talk about is Gravekeepers. Gravekeepers are super awesome. Gravekeepers, when they first came out, Gravekeepers were very popular back when I think they came out in the Merrick structure deck. I don't actually remember. They were very popular for a number of reasons. I mean, Necro Valley was the nuts. I mean, it still is the nuts. I mean, plus Necro Valley, you were able to use Royal Tribute to get rid of cards and monsters in your opponent's hand, and that was completely broken. Descendant was really good because if you had multiple Gravekeepers on the field, you could tribute them and just pop cards on your opponent's side of the field. And just like Recruiter plus Spy, and you were able to get Wrecker Valley very easily with Commandant. So Gravekeepers was an awesome deck back then. And to be honest, it still is a deck now that I think is very viable and very, very anti-meta. I mean, I'll look over some cards that actually do that. So I think Gravekeepers are very good against the meta currently because of this card right here. Necro Valley. Necro Valley is the friggin' nuts. I'm just gonna bring it over here so I don't have to like scroll over. Necro Valley is the nuts. I mean, honestly, if you guys don't know what this card does, I mean, because some players are new to this game. So so obviously all Gravekeepers monsters gain 500 attack and defense, which is pretty good because it makes like Defendant 2000 and it makes Commandant 21 if you have it on the field. It also makes Spy at 2500 defense. But Necro Valley is really good for this effect. Cards in either player's graveyard cannot be banished, and negate any card effect that would move a card in the graveyard to another place, that would move a card in the graveyard to a different place other than itself. This essentially shuts down Dragon Rulers and Spellbooks. Not even kidding. The ability to negate cards that would move other cards in the graveyard to a different place is amazing. And also, just the fact that you can't banish cards in graveyard. It's kind of like a Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer, which some Spellbook players are citing in now. I mean, like, let's say you have this on the field against Spellbooks. They can't banish for Spellbook of Fate. They can't banish in their graveyard for High Priestess's effect. I mean, they still could banish from hand, but they normally expend their hand before that. And Dragon Rulers, I mean, this essentially stops Dragon Rulers from bringing back their cards to the graveyard because they can't banish. Let's say they overextend, they go Draco Sack, they go whatever. Let's say they go Lad. Okay, if they go Lad, this doesn't really great unless you have like a Veiler in hand. But they overextend, they go Draco Sack, they have all their monsters in their graveyard, and for some reason, let's say they don't have Super Rejuve to get back their +4. Or even if they do have Rejuve and they don't draw into other monsters, you activate Necro Valley. If you activate Necro Valley, they were probably counting on their dragon's ability to banish cards in their graveyard to special summon themselves to keep overextending. If Necro Valley is on the field, they can't do that. This essentially locks Dragon Rulers down, which is why I think this is fantastic, but I mean a fantastic card against Dragon Rulers. I mean, any deck can actually play this besides Gravekeepers, although in Gravekeepers this is most effective. Because also, Royal Tribute is also a very good, like, Royal Tribute plus Necro Valley. I mean, you kind of need Necro Valley to activate Royal Tribute, but if you get that Royal Tribute off against Dragon Rulers, they can't do anything. They will not be able to do anything because they have nothing in their hand to banish for their dragons, and they can't banish anything in their graveyard to bring back their dragons either. So that's why I think Gravekeepers are honestly very, very good this format. Also, I've seen some Gravekeepers decks that run Thunder King Riot. Like, this is just a random build that I've seen YouTube videos and stuff like that. So a lot of decks run Thunder King Ryo in Gravekeepers now, because first turn T-King plus Necro Valley is practically an instant win. And if you get this plus that plus Necro Valley plus Royal Tributes, you're geared for game, like, against a Dragon Ruler player. You're good. Like, you're good, honestly. I mean, T-King stops them from adding cards to their hand, and you can negate a special summon, and this stops them from banishing cards in their graveyard. So, that's pretty boss right there, I won't lie. I mean, honest, come on. So, and they run Triple Veiler, so they can run BLS. I've also seen some Gravekeeper decks that run, what's it called? That run Doomcal, because it's a dark, it works. And again, all to go to negate them, to stop the meta, because Doomcaliber negates effects, right? So I think Gravekeepers are a very good deck because of Necro Valley. Necro Valley is honestly super great. Necro Valley plus Thunder King plus Royal Tribute is a fantastic combo. Also, some Gravekeepers are running Gravekeepers Guard, and Gravekeepers Guard is essentially a 1900 Compulse, basically. It's actually 24 plus Necro Valley, but whatever. So, and the ability to compulse that Draco Sack is very good these days. So, yeah. The next deck I want to talk to you guys about is actually Frogs, or Frog Monarchs, as we would call them. If you guys have watched my the last video I did, I was testing out. I was actually playing my Egyptian God Frogs, which are right over here, God Froggies. But I was playing them, and I realized that Frogs have an insane advantage over the meta. I mean, the ability to go into Caius, the ability to go into Ryza, and the ability to get out Obelisk is just so friggin' insane. And of course, they can't be OTK'd because they have Battle Fader, they run Gorge, they run Tragodia. I mean, so let's look over the boss monsters. Obviously, they have all this defense. So they have Caius. Caius is fantastic against Evil Swarms, because you can banish their Ophion, you can banish whatever, and then inflict 1,000 points of damage to them. This deck has a very good matchup against Evil Swarms, like I said before in my earlier video, because Ophion only negates... Ophion has material. Your opponent can't special summon level 5 or higher monsters, so you can special summon all the little guys, and these are all normal summons. So Ophion doesn't stop them. So Caius is especially good against Evil Swarms. It's also very good against dragons, because if they get out Draco Sack, you can banish their Draco Sack. It doesn't matter how many tokens they have on the field. Same thing goes for Ryza. Ryza returns to the top of the deck. Not as good against Draco Sack. I mean, Draco Sack, it's still a great out to Draco Sack because it can't stop Ryza unless they have, like, breakthrough skill. And it gets over Draco Sack's effect of not getting banished. But I don't think I would rather have Draco Sack being banished where they can't get it back instead of sending it back to the extra deck. But the MVP of Frogs, in my opinion, is Obelisk the Tormentor. Obelisk is Obelisk. I mean, Obelisk is the best card ever. If you guys obviously know what the Egyptian gods do, right? I mean, honestly, Obelisk is good for like a good 5 reasons. So, 1, its normal summon can't be negated. When it's normal summon, so like, oh, you want to use Solemn Judgment, you want to use Solemn Warning, nah, it's not happening. When it's normal summon, cards and effects can't be activated, so you can't chain Torrential, you can't chain Torrential, you can't chain Bottomless, you can't chain anything. And Obelisk is the most amazing god card, in my opinion, because it cannot be targeted by the effects of spells, traps, or card effects. So essentially, it can't be targeted. This format is so heavily reliant on targeting that Obelisk rapes. I mean, Blaster's effect to pop, targets. Draco Sack's effect to pop, targets. Big Eye's effect to take over monsters, targets. Breakthrough Skill, Effect Veiler, both of them target. So you can't even negate Obelisk's effect. High Priestess to banish, targets. Spellbook of Fate. Does Spellbook of Fate target? That's a good question. Okay, no, it only banishes one card your opponent controls. Okay, so this doesn't target. Spellbook of Fate doesn't target, but Priestess does, so okay. But Obelisk is still a very, very good out. So, and it's got 4,000 attack and defense. Nothing in this format can get over that. I mean, nothing. So, and you can't even, like, compulse it. You can't, because compulse targets. You can't deprison it, because deprison targets. You have to waste your Mirror Force or your Dark Bribe on it. And dark hole on it, and I mean people aren't even playing Dark Hole these days, which is kind of stupid actually, because Dark Hole is still very good. But I'll probably make a video on that actually. But anyways, Obelisk is the freaking nuts, and especially if you're playing like Soul Exchange, like a lot of Frog players do. Soul Exchange, like if they have Draco Sack on the field, you just tribute their Draco Sack, and it's just like what? So Obelisk, in my opinion, is a super great card. And Frogs in general, very good, very good. The next deck I want to talk to you guys about, the last deck that I want to talk to you guys about, is another deck that came out in Hidden Arsenal 7, and that is Constellars. Constellars are, obviously, like you guys know, probably, the light version of Evil Swarms. Some people say they're not as good as Evil Swarms. I actually think they're, against Evil Swarms, these guys win, like, right away, not even kidding. Because just like Evil Swarms, they get easy access to rank 4 monsters. With Chaos, you get easy access to rank 5 monsters. And the rank 5s in this deck, I mean, you run Pleiades, you run Volcasaurus, you run Tyrus, you run Adrius. I mean, but Pleiades is the MVP here, because Pleiades is basically like a compulse, if you guys don't know what this card does. So it requires 2 level 5 monsters, which you make easily with Chaos, Algeti, Pollux, or even like Sombras or Siet. And just the ability to pop out that Draco Sack is incredible. So you pop out their Draco Sack, you just win. Ptolemy's M7 also does that. You can also, so, and M7, not only you can detach an extra material, target a card in the field and return it to the hand, you can also target a monster in either player's graveyard and return it to the hand. And I think that's really good, because if they try to banish in the graveyard, you say, okay, I chain M7's effect, you don't have another monster to banish because you lost your target. And then you have to try and banish again. So just for that, I think Constellars are pretty good. Constellars, they can run Thunder King Ryo because they're all light monsters, and T-King is obviously a great card against spellbooks because they can't add cards to hand. And they can also run Honest. And if the Draco Sack, if the E-Dragon player or the Spellbook player or the Evil Swarm player, whatever, makes a mistake and tries attacking your monster with whatever they have, you just go Honest and you win straight out, because Honest is a game-changing card. So that's basically it, you guys. I'm very certain that Constellars, Gravekeepers, and Frogs are all very, very good decks this format. So guys, don't give up hope. There is hope for this format. There is hope for this deck. All you have to do, guys, don't give up on Yu-Gi-Oh! Because just because this format sucks doesn't mean you have to give up. There are decks like this, decks that are underrated, but that really shine out. Constellars light shining. That really shine out through that and really make it really work for people. Work for people who don't want to go and buy all those expensive cards. Work for people who just want to play competitive decks but that are anti-meta. Because these decks are essentially anti-meta, for the reasons that I stated in this video. So I really want to see these decks played because they're honestly very good and they're super great against the meta. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. So yeah, don't forget to leave comments. Anyways, Cruiser67 signing off, guys. Have a great day.